me see. Okay, we're live, folks. I'm sorry about the delay. We were planning on getting going at 8 o'clock my time. I think we're hitting 8:30 at the moment. Yeah. All right. We got John Wilson on the speakerphone. We're working on some technical difficulties because my computer wasn't working right. Things weren't working. It happens. So we'll just wait. We'll wait to get that working right here. I'm going to be visiting South Florida again. I'm headed down to Florida, so that's why next week we don't have a live stream because I won't be able to. I'll be on a plane, and so I thought it'd be good to take the week off. I'm going to be checking out a Mural John's pin. John here, who's on the live chat. He's watching. He's going to let me know whatever you're talking about out there. So that right now I'm turning and I'm looking at the chat, but I can't do that while I'm painting here. So it's going to help. All right, we got stuff to look at. John, do I still got you on the line? You on the phone?
Yeah, I'm still here.
He's here. Okay, he's here. Now it might be hard to hear John, but we'll just settle for that. All right. Now remember, John, if you say anything, I got you piped into the live stream. It's recorded forever. So
yes, sir.
Don't use foul language. Don't say mean things about me.
No, I'm always good, Joe.
All right. Hey, thanks for doing this on a moment's notice. I just called him this morning. I said, hey, I didn't get a co-host set up. So will you do this last minute for me? So he's a good sport. John's being a good sport. All right. And I see that we got Leanne from Vancouver tuned in. Welcome back. Thanks for being here once again, Leanne. Good seeing you as always. And Joppa Cat, familiar faces. Cornea's out there. I see the chat is hopping. I appreciate you all being patient and waiting for us to get going. And we got Raymond in the house. Thank you for being here. I think more people will join us as we progress. Let me know if anybody tunes in from somewhere else. John, I like to know where people are tuning in.
Vancouver Island, Leanne.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, we got that. Okay. So, ideas. I'm going to start right out with, this was last live stream. You know what? I'm going to dig right into something technical. Let's see. This is the kind of stuff I obsess over, is the technical things. I do this so that I have true information that's helpful for others that want to paint more meaningful things than triangle grapes. But I noticed this in my triangle prism grape. I noticed that I did something wrong. No, take wrong with context. In art, it's hard to say anything's actually wrong, but according to what I intended to do, let's just put it in that context. I wanted to make this light. The light's coming in here, and here's an important thing to understand with reflection versus translucent light. Boy, we're digging right in. That I put that light reflective edge going down that. This would be like that edge would be facing toward us, right? So even though it's tiny, even though it's just a little corner, there would be some amount of edge facing right toward me, which means I should see through it. I should not have that gray highlight. Attention to these little details makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So let me show you what it looks like if I change that very methodically. This is just executing a pattern, and I miss stuff all the time. There's always error, and I look back at it later with fresh eyes and realize that. Okay, I'm just putting some white paint in my tray here. All right, we got any new people on board? Yeah, John, tell me.
Anderson, first time in ages, Joe.
Hey, all right, nice. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. We got, what was the name I was looking at in my emails? Trying to remember it. We're going to look at an ocean scene by Roya, perhaps was the name. And so we got a cool painting to check out and give some tips on for further development. Okay, here's what's bugging me. This right here, dunk, right there, just that bright spot, because this is where I want to see right through. I want to see right through my prism in this spot. See, I need bright color right there, not gray color right there. That's what I want. So we're going to go here and make our boldest, brightest color right on the corner, right there. And there'd probably be a little bit right here too, you know. Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to adjust, because that spot was just, according to me, incorrect. What do you think it'd be fun to paint today, John? What do you think?
Say that one more time. Sorry, Joe.
What do you think it'd be fun to paint today? Here, let me put you up by my painting. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna put John right there. We got John Wilson right there on my painting.
Yeah, I've been practicing everything that you've been telling me about backgrounds and skies and stuff. I did the blend from the top sky in the horizon line to the white.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Okay, yeah, that's a big deal. You know, you get your sky looking more 3D when you get a gradient. I saw pictures you sent me. It looked really good.
Yeah,
That's
there's
great.
a lot of people stopping by too. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
you got some traffic there. So what are we gonna do when I show up in your town?
I promised them that you were going to do their logo. They're all excited.
Nice.
So you know the logo.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in the beginning of the truck. I lined the truck up and then the mural right behind it so that you could to see the different colors. But the owner's outside looking at it and staring at it every time I'm out there.
Okay, that's
He's really,
cool.
really happy.
Nice.
So I'm excited for you to come
Yeah,
and type all together.
yeah.
So
All right. Hopefully we're not writing checks I can't cash. There, you know. No, we'll do it. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. You know, lettering is a hard thing. It's like you can be great in other areas and really struggle with lettering because there's such technical strategy to it, I guess that is the word I'm looking for. You know, it can be a very technical thing. So it's a good topic, lettering.
I figured if you did the lettering of the logo, I'll do the big shrimp in the pot while you're doing the letters.
Yeah, okay. Okay, cool.
So,
Nice. Yeah, well, we're going to have fun doing that. We're going to put together a mural. John's flying me out. He's flying me out there to his town. And so anything else I should know about it's Bradenton? Bradenton, is that?
West Bradenton, Florida. It's just short of Anna Maria Island. If you keep going out State Road 70,
Okay.
which is no, I'm sorry, this is State Road 64. 70 is
Okay.
Cortez. Before is Manatee Avenue. It's the corner of Manatee and 51st.
All right.
It's about 3 miles short of Anna Maria Island, which is probably the nicest part of Florida.
Okay.
It's the most built up now. They just keep building
Just keep
houses.
building. Okay. That sounds cool.
Well, they're rebuilding all the houses that flew into the water 2 years ago, so or a year and a half ago. So
Oh, I see. So you had a lot of hurricane damage there. Is that a regular thing? Is that just like par for the course? Like, oh, we got houses down.
no, it usually goes south or north of us. It never is a direct hit here, and that was our first direct hit, and it direct hit it right two times in 2 weeks.
Okay, so that really is a hardship there when that happens. It's not like just a common deal.
Yeah, some people. I mean, their house just washed into the water.
Man, wow.
Sand from the Gulf that was piled 6, 7, 8 feet high, like it was snow in a snowstorm. It just
Really all drifted up. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, like totally underwater. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but,
I would think that if I was moving to Florida, just because I just get the news version. People talk about it. I get the stories. It's not firsthand, but Man, my main concern if I was moving to Florida would be, what if a hurricane comes? You know?
Moved to Bradenton because it was the first one since they restarted recording it. So odds are they're going to be
Okay.
I'm soon. It'll start going north and south again.
Yeah. I'm amazed that the real estate stays expensive.
Well, that's because people are fleeing everywhere. It's still coming here.
Demand, right? There's still demand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they're building here.
All right, that makes sense. So I was thinking, I had a conversation with an AI last night, just brainstorming what would be good topics. I said, what is the hardest thing to paint? That's what I said. And the AI conversation, it said, a big struggle is human hands. What do you think? What do you think about this? Is that true? I would like to know what people viewing right now think about that. Is human hands a topic of interest? I was curious. Is the AI right?
Yes, absolutely.
You think so? Let me know if anybody else. Let me know if anybody else chimes in the chat on that subject.
Well, we got
curious.
Brady Miller from Ohio.
Hey, all right, not my hometown, my home state. I was raised in Ohio. I'm an Ohio kid. I like that place. A lot of Bigfoot sightings recently. It's kind of exciting. They had an explosion of Bigfoot sightings there. You know that? Do you see that news? I like to listen to the podcasts that cover that stuff.
I don't watch the news. It's all bad.
Yeah. Whoa. It's not all bad. I mean, Bigfoot, that's...
They turn it on, the bad gets through. So you want to stay always good, you got to turn off the bad news.
Yeah, I hear you. But what about podcasts? Those aren't like big production money makers. Those are just people doing what they love.
You target your market, you can find the people that talk about
Yeah. So that's kind of where I get news usually. So there was like 8 in one day, and this is coming in from multiple witnesses at the same time, public places. This isn't like a guy with a story. You know what I mean? This is like really was in information coming from authorities, not just random people. Like, man, it was a weird day. These calls came in. There were all these in the course of several days. There was like 8 sightings that came in various areas, parts of Ohio. So just fun news from Ohio. That's all. And I thought it was cool. I'm painting some wood texture here. Textures are, I think, a good topic to talk about always. Did I cut you off there, John? Were you saying something?
Well, people are going to see more UFOs now that drones are here. People don't realize how big they are. There's a whole bunch in New Jersey, like mysterious drones showing up.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on the news too. Yeah, I don't think those are drones. I think that is the instructions given for the narrative. You know what I mean? Like, I think these news channels are given instructions on what they're going to call it, and they stick to the script because the people I talk to don't have the same story.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't watch it.
That's good.
I'm just relying on you, Joe.
Yeah.
It'll come through.
Good, man. I'm glad to hear. Well, I'm not the knower of truth on these subjects. I just have my own opinions. That's all it is. But I'm entertained by it. I really like it. I really like the conspiracy theory topic, as a topic, because I think that our world is just chock full of conspiracy more than it is honesty. And I like when people are not ashamed to dig in just because they get labeled tinfoil hatter or something.
Well, you just got to be careful who you let deliver you the information, because the people that own the networks, they all read from the same script, so it doesn't matter.
I know, man. Somebody exposed that. I saw a video that showed. Videos showing like 10 of them at the same time. Like, we're talking like all the big ones.
Look up Joe Rogan, and he discussed it one day. It's ridiculous. So you got to figure out what you want to put in your brain, and then you open it up to that. And me, I just want to learn how to paint. You're honest with Joe.
You know what? I appreciate you getting us back on track, John. Thank you. So, I'm throwing together this wood grain, and I want to talk about the elements that make textures. Here's the question I always ask with texture: is what is the color doing as it gets darker and as it gets lighter? What's it doing? There's an amount. So just like I have a translucent gradient in these grapes, I shifted the color from purple toward red, orange. Like purple, red, orange was my full range. So I just went some amount as it gets brighter. If I do that, wow, you can see I'm adding plenty of color. It's not getting more gray. It's getting saturated with color, and that color is shifting away from purple toward the red, orange. Okay. With the wood, I want some amount of translucency, but not as much as the grapes, right? I don't want to make this look like light is shining through the whole post. I want to make it look like it's made out of a material that lets light some amount into the surface. You get the point. Wood isn't as opaque as a piece of iron. So I shifted a little. That's it. I shift. So that translucent gradient is not as extremely shifted, but it is shifted. I added a little bit of yellow while I intensified the color and the highlight a little bit. So here I did it a lot. Here I did it a little. So I'm controlling. So let me give you an example. Let's say we're just gonna. I'm just gonna make this live stream a study. This is gonna be a study. We're not painting a nice picture. Let's do the old circle study. All right, so wood, here's my base color. It's going to be a brown. Brown can be made from black and orange. I'm not going to spend a long time on this. I just want to clarify what I'm talking about with these gradients. All right, there we go. So that's got it appears that I've mixed a bit of purple or something with my, did I do that? Let me see, hang on, give me a second. Is that black? Yeah, that's black. Okay, let me put orange on it. Yeah, so I must have dipped into some purple at the bottom. I must have mixed the two. It's hard to tell, I look at my, I look at this color is so dark. I think I had some purple in that anyway, confusing me. All right. So this is a pattern you can use over and over that will continue to work for you. If you're doing, look, it became a balloon. Isn't that funny? The paint drips down. Now I painted a balloon. We're gonna go like this. Orange as it gets lighter, but we don't need this to be so much more saturated. So I'm going to lighten this. When you lighten a color, you can lighten it by adding less black, or you can lighten it by adding white. Does that make sense? So if you make it less black, you're saturating the color as it gets lighter. So that's really saturated. That's orange. But I don't need to have it that saturated because I'm not trying to make glowing wood grain. So I'm going to make it just somewhat more saturated. So let's go ahead and let the black mix in there. Let's add yellow as it gets brighter. Now we're shifting from the more red-orange toward a more yellow-orange, but not extremely. Once again, we're not going extreme. So let's just put some patches of this yellower color, and immediately you can see it start to take on a wood-like relationship. The colors start to look a little bit more like a wood texture. So this is accomplished, and this is very similar to fur, hair. Think of anything that if you looked at it under a microscope, it has fibers that you can see light through. Anything that's that kind of a texture. So this becomes a very wood-like texture. This might have reflection on it, just like my grape cluster over here. So let's go ahead and put a little reflection. Now reflection does not doesn't go through and illuminate and make this gradient. So now we're shifting back away from our translucent color, shifting away from that yellow and desaturating as it gets lighter, not saturating as it gets lighter. So this is a reflection gradient. So I'm just going to put a little bit of white. And to keep it simple, let's just throw a little bit of black to make the color more gray. Hang on. Oh yeah, I totally mixed that with my purple. This is going to be a purple black. Okay, look at that reflection. See how that has a kind of a it looks, what do you call it? Just a little bit of a glare, or I don't know, a soft reflection. So let's go around the edge with this. Let's just say that the environment is reflecting this all around. It's going to make it look nice in 3D if I get that edge to be less saturated, like that. There's my wooden ball bearing right there, and then we can put a little bit more white right here, like that, for an extra. That's where the light's the brightest, perhaps. We're just saying it is. Okay, so every texture I used that, and then I just organized the flow of the grain. I put a little swell in it, like a branch used to be sticking out of there. You look at enough of these posts, you notice some repeating patterns, and I just used those for the shape, and just used this color pattern. I use this in everything. It's just a repeating theme, so I think it's worth studying. All right, so let's look at something that goes way far extreme the other way. No translucency. We'll do 0 translucency on this one. Let's do if we do like a metallic. A lot of you probably see me do metallic things. Anything interesting happening in the conversation that I should be aware of there, John? I haven't heard from you in a minute.
Just a little stuff about judges on the court.
We got some more world issues going on. Okay. Okay.
Nobody really started talking. You were explaining stuff. So
yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good.
Talking about.
That's good. Just don't want to miss anybody. You know what? Let's take a minute. And pull up this picture from. Just give me a moment. I'm on my computer. If you want to send something, I'm going to try to say this more times during the live stream, because I noticed some people tuning in at different times don't hear me give the email. So send to share. My hair was in my eyes. How is my hair today anyway?
I must know, do you ever use spray paint on your water paint in exterior application?
Say that again for me, John. Sorry.
Do you ever use spray paint? Do you ever use spray paint on top of the water base in exterior application?
I've never done that. Okay, so spray paint on top of water, but you can't, theoretically that could work. Aerosol is a different kind of base than oil. So are we referring to like aerosol solvent-based paint in cans when you say spray paint, or are we just talking about using a sprayer to get a sprayed look? Maybe a little clarification. I've never done aerosol. I actually have done that. Not on exterior. Now that I think about it, I did for a specific technique. I put wet acrylic paint on the wall, sprayed it with an aerosol can, and then it stuck to the places where the paint was not, and then I dabbed it off with the rag, and it looked super cool. It was like just a very layered, textured wall finish. Very fancy. I used a metallic gold. It kind of looked like gold leaf on the wall. So I guess I did combine them once, but as a practice, I don't combine mediums. I barely do that, so I'm not very experienced. Okay, I'm gonna look at this picture. Share@muraljoe.com is where you send pictures. This one is from Roya, and she's just looking for general advice on making this come alive, on working on this ocean scene. So wonderful work, like the motion of the water. And I'm going to try to identify a couple of things that you might be able to use here. I see that Gary Anderson 6397. Thank you for your comment. If you can do a hand, that would help show solid and translucent behavior. Okay, that's a good idea. I like that. I like that comment. All right, so I'm gonna download this picture. We're gonna put it in the app. And if anybody else has something that you would like some tips and tricks on, you want to send it to me, send it to share at muraljoe.com. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. Okay, so sorry, I got my multitasking here. Hang on. Let's get this first. What are we doing? Download, download, save. That's in down. Okay, sorry, different browser than I usually use. And then we're going to go to Color Driver. If you'd like to go test my app on the internet, colordriver.com. Let's see if it's going to work for us. Load it in there. And so then this is a touch screen computer. So everything on here is my hand touching the screen, but I'll use the mouse to show general buttons. This is where I upload a picture. I click File, and then I click this up arrow, and then it lets me go through my file system and pick the picture I want to put on there. Keep current dimensions is all I'm going to do. It is like just changes the size of your drawing. So keep current dimensions because we're just doing a temporary deal. And then put it in the place, you know, if you got multiple pictures, you might want to arrange them. So you drag it to where you want it, then click the set button and you're ready to draw on your picture. So you can just use this online anytime, you know, if it glitches or crashes or something. Sorry about that, but it's just a free little tool to tinker with and draw all over your work without having to download anything. So let's talk about this picture. So here's what I noticed right away on this picture. Roy, a great job with it. I love the motion of these waves. This curve is super cool right here. Here's something that is important. You can separate. You did a great job of separating the sea foam that is under the water versus what is splashing out of the water. So when something's under the water, you get that translucent color. So here's where you get all of and you did a good job with it. So if I sample this color, I'm just going to hold the mouse there. Let's get the pen size down. I'm going to adjust this color a little more saturated. Okay, we're just going to slide this little thing left a little bit. Maybe move a bit toward the green, and we'll get just a touch more light in the picture there. Just a touch. I'm gonna take this, put it down in this water that's splashing up. Wherever I got that darker bluer color, I'm really gonna put this in just to make it look like it's lit up. And you already have done this, so don't take anything I'm doing here as any kind of a correction. Just me tinkering with your picture because I like the look of this effect. Okay, we're gonna put some of that brighter color in that wave. And, you know, it can just make the water glow. Now, I'm going to talk about the shape of waves. I think that it works well to address first the reflection on the water and then the splashing foam. So all of the white water here. And when waves crash up, the areas you want to use this white color wherever it's splashing, but when it probably feels a little unnatural when it continues on such a long line with that same color that you expect to see on the out of the water splashes. So here I would convert a lot of this to surface foam, and here's how I would do this. So I'm taking a long time to get to the point. So I'm going to just sample the colors you've already got here. Let's take this color here. Let's put some of that. I'm going to go over this just to give an example of how I would add foam to this. Let's smear that together to kind of get a common color. I'm using that smear tool with my finger. Very fun smearing colors on a computer screen. Swirls are very satisfying. Do you feel that way, John? I love doing swirls. I found it's a good paint mixing technique. All right. Okay, we're going to put some water. This is just your water. I'm trying to put the color you've already chosen here. All right. You can interrupt me at any moment if you see something I'm missing there, John.
Well, you were talking. I was
yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
The latest picture of the mural as of this morning.
Okay, cool. All right. So I put a color on there. Sorry, that's not a great watercolor here. I kind of used a bad color. Let's make that a little bit bluer. Let's go a little brighter, a little more saturated. I got all that gray in it. Yeah, that looks better. Here, let's put this in. Okay, seafoam, strategy for seafoam. When it gets pushed in a direction, it appears to be what's interesting about it is that it seems to be the ends of strands of foam that travel the most. So this is the shape. If these are moving up, I'm going to get a light color here. Hang on. We're going to use a color that's not white, but it's going to be a light blue, gray, violet. Okay, so we're just going to lighten. We're going to gray it a little bit. Let's try that color. This is going to be hopefully a seafoam color. I want to leave room to make bright sunlit splashes, so the foam's not going to be as light. And I'm going to make it traveling up this way. This is because the wave's going that way. It's going up to a ridge, and I want to stay true to the vision that you've got in your piece. So I'm going to make my stroke a little bit smaller, and I'm going to do shapes like this because the middle of it is bigger. The ends of the strand travel toward in the direction that the water's moving. So let's make another one like that. Let's make another one. Oh, okay. Now let's not make it perfect. We'll kind of scramble it a little bit. You know, let's make some squiggles going different directions as well. But we're going to make a theme to it that just includes a lot of those, because that's the direction that you chose with your water. And this is a helpful pattern to be aware of. Okay, so we're going to zigzag it all over the place, but I'm just including a lot of shapes that have that. So do you see how that has a flowing look to it? This is something that you can expect to see a lot of when you're watching seafoam form. So I made the color more gray, less white. And, you know, maybe in here it's not moving as much. So here, maybe I'll just keep more curving in equal directions. Sounded like you're going to say something there, John.
I'm just watching. This is actually, I'm working on 2 murals at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And this is playing right into what I've been working on for the past week.
Okay, nice. That's cool.
So Leanne Triples, she said, I often see discussions from big artists that start paintings in acrylic, then oil it out, painting over areas with oil paints to give paintings more depth and life.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool trick. Sorry.
Do that, and I did that in a couple paintings because I couldn't figure out how to get the acrylics mixed, vibrant, the way I put with oil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a challenge. The way you get them vibrant is not having bright colors in your palette. It's using these gradient patterns religiously. You know, it is just very automated practice for me to decide how saturated my midtone is and be careful about keeping them separate. You lose that glowing saturated feel when this pattern gets scrambled. And so I always try hard to preserve that. Okay, so we're addressing the foam on these. Now I'm gonna take your waves, and we're gonna convert all of this white water, a lot of this white water, to not as white. We're gonna make it more of this color. So let me think about this one. Let's get the smear tool, and I'm just gonna, start going over this. Let's get a blue color right here. Whoops, let's not use that. Let's change this. We just went to a black. Hang on, sorry. Let's go here to a blue, kind of a blue-green, maybe right there. And, oh, whoops, I meant to get the drawing tool. Hang on. Let's use that color. We're going to go here and start drawing this color on here. Let's get a little bit bigger line. I always forget which tool I'm on. I got to remedy that in this app. Okay, we got brighter color. Oh, John's got dogs barking. I hear him. I had dogs barking this morning. We're watching my daughter's dog. They woke me up early this morning. Yeah, I got to get used to that. Okay, we're putting brighter colored water. Maybe there is some foam here under the water. The reason I'm not getting rid of these because they're wrong. It's because I want to change. I want to change the amount of the foam. So I want to separate sea foam from splashes. Foam and splashes are two different things, and I think that that could really serve you well to separate sea foam from splashes. So that's what I'm working on. We're gonna go like this. Get a bluer. I'm just trying to match your watercolor. Having a hard time. Okay, let's do here, and these are, you could do this anywhere. You could pick any of these spots. So these are cool locations for these light highlights with the turbulence and the water movement. The layout is cool, but they don't all need to be the splashes. These can be converted to the foam. So that's what I'm doing. All these areas that I'm going over right now, I'm going to convert them to foam on the surface rather than splashes, and keep your biggest splashes. So these splashes are cool, like this area is cool right in here. I'm going to take that color and make it more saturated, make it more green. Let's put this in here. This is where the water comes up in the light, gets illuminated, and I'll use the blender tool to blend that into the water. So this is where all of the bubbles are under the water, catching the light and creating a glow, and also the water itself is just kind of coming up into the light. But then we do have the light color, so let's get some light color for splashes. Sorry, I gotta go to the drawing tool. Let's go to a white color. Maybe not pure white. We'll do this. Okay, so this is lighter than the seafoam color. I'm going to go nice and light. Let's go even lighter. Make it similar to what you've got in your picture. Here we go. And then so it blends just like you did on that biggest one. It blends from the glowing translucent underwater color to your white splash color. And then I'm going to, your texture was better than mine. This is just a silly little computer version. But it's a thing to tinker with. All right, we're putting little splashes all over this. I'm going to use this blend tool and kind of drag some of it down. Here we go. So it's just not suddenly. There we go. Okay. I mean, yours is better. Mine's okay. Yours is better. But you get the point. I'm going to try to swatch this color. If you hold an area on the screen, then it'll give you that color. Let's use that color. And the problem with that mechanism of holding it on the screen is that my hands are shaky. So I didn't think about that when I was developing that tool. Like, I can't really hold my hand still to use that. You got to hold your hand still on a spot. Okay, so now let's get back to doing more of that foam. All right, we're getting some good translucency in the water, and I'm going to put some big blocks of that seafoam color. So we're going to go back to our blue, gray, violet color, and we're going to, oh, that was the smear tool again. Switch to the drawing tool, change the color. There we go. Something like that. Okay. And we're going to take the line size down a bit, zoom in on this, and just start making those squiggles. It's amazing to me how faithfully this pattern works. It's like this elliptical pattern has been, in my work, it's been a real game changer, incorporating this. It's funny, you can look at things and they can feel random until they don't, until you realize they're not. You're like, oh, there's actually a pattern to that. So I'm doing this sloppy job of putting this foam in here, but I'm just creating that elliptical pattern. And so when you do this pattern, if I slow down, it's the parts that curve in the direction of the water flow that thin out into just strands. So see, I fattened up these elliptical shapes in order to show that. All right, I'm going to make a few that don't follow that exact pattern as well. It doesn't need to be everywhere. Like I said, it's just good to include it. All right, now foam patterns, they're created, like we're focusing on this elliptical pattern, but it's also good to focus on the way these form is the foam comes up and pushes the water apart. And so there's a lot of patches. The negative space is in the shape of patches. So you'll have these, think about what's the right way to say it? If I were to just scribble a bunch of this on here, if I just scribbled a bunch, then you might and this is kind of how I started doing seafoam, like just exploring different patterns. And I was like, well, that definitely doesn't have the natural look of foam. So here's what was missing. It is that this occurs in patches in this negative space. Look at all the dark space left in between these strands. It doesn't look like patches. It just looks like random shapes. So what we're going to do is color this in, and I'm just going to focus now on the shape of the negative space. I'm making patches that have a little bit more circular shape to them, because that's what happens. It comes up and pushes foam apart. The water does that. So instead of just lines in the negative space, you don't want your negative space to end up being strips and lines and triangles, and it ends up being patches. Okay, and then the foam, of course, does need to taper from bigger to thinner. So if every shape you've got in the sea foam tapers out to thin, which is as easy as just finding the right brush stroke. You just find the right brush stroke to taper it out, or the right computer program. Okay, so I'm just looking for blunt stop. See how this one just comes to a blunt stop? Not common with foam to see a shape like that. So you might see a little patch that trails off like that. This might be divided into little patches. Sure, yeah, you see little patches of foam, but wherever you have a long strand, then you're likely to see it tapering like that. And then you just make all of the space in between look like a combination of roundish patch-like shapes, just considering that they got pushed apart. And if you watch it happen, so just go watch the sea foam now with that in mind. It's kind of fun to just watch it. That's what I'm going to be doing when I get to how close are you to the ocean, John?
Joe, it's every turn you're going to see it water.
Yeah, so we can go watch some sea foam form, right? We can go watch that. Okay, so there's the concept. There's the concept of creating lifelike sea foam shapes. And I've tried to obey the perspective while I'm doing it. I've flattened these shapes so that they look like they're in perspective on your water. Okay, now you can replace so much of your white water with foam like that. So much of your areas that are I would call them splashes. You could replace some splash areas with foam areas, and I think you would like the look of that better because it lets the splashes stand out as big splashes. All right, now let's work on reflection. That'll be the last thing, and then we'll get off of this picture. Okay, again, if anybody wants to send work in, send it to share@muraljoe.com. And right now, I'm going to put some reflection in this picture. We're going to go like this, and I'm going to zoom in here, and we're just going to start putting waves made out of waves. So we're going to go like this. We're going to put this going across. I want to really, really put uniform direction in this. There's going to be more reflection. I would address this first. I would do this before any of that foam. I would do this part. Get your ocean texture, And all it is a bunch of strokes. You know, this program is tapering the strokes for me. So when I zoom in and do a line, you can see that line is a little thinner on the ends, and that's a very helpful thing in the shape of a wave. They naturally create a lot of these shapes. So that taper happens naturally with the brush stroke as well. So you can use that to your advantage. Water has a whole lot of uniform shape direction. So if I accidentally make some of these, if I make an X, that's going to look weird, you know? So here's the nuance to look for. If you do one this way, they're not just in random places. If you do something like that, it's going to, it just doesn't look as natural. I'm not calling it wrong. It just doesn't look as natural. So it's a very consistent texture direction. So you want to train your arm, your hand, it's a motor skill to just get it to do the same direction over and over. So it's okay if that direction uniformly goes up and over a wave like this. That's a good thing. You know, you have diversity and shape in your water. But I guess uniformity is what I'm talking about. There's not a sudden change in that. Okay, so we're getting reflection on it. Let's with the brush you can probably blend these better. Let's use the blender tool. Just blend this out like this. All right, we're just going to blend some of this reflection in. This is total cheater way to make water. Blending it with a program where the paint never dries. Much easier. All right, there we go. And this also, just taking the smear tool across it also helps it to all be a uniform direction, like I was saying. So I'm looking for any ends of waves, just pulling them out like this. Okay, so I would get that done first and then do the foam where you have those shapes. You can address those separately. Let's make a few more in here. Let's make a fatter line. Let's do a few of those reflection strokes in here, going up this. Anywhere that's kind of where the edge is tipping away from you, that's good places to put reflection. Right here's a good spot. Maybe you got a wave back. It kind of looks like you got one there. But don't let me steer your painting and tell you where to put things, you know. Just recommendations. See how it immediately takes that 3D shape when you put the reflection on there. So I would do this first and then look for areas where foam or splashes would really, you've already got the splashes in place, you know, but it's hard to do this over the top of this texture in here with the seafoam. It's hard for me to do it over the top of that. That's real hard, whether I'm using the computer or paint. That's a difficulty. So I'm not going to do it right there. I'm just going to put this down in here. Let's put a few little reflection spots in here. See how that Y shape that came out looks kind of off? That's what I'm talking about, the uniformity of the direction. So I'm going to be more careful with these strokes. Really keep uniform direction. That's a real important aspect. Smear tool. And this might be a little bit on the saturated turquoise side for reflection, just like on my painting. I really tried to desaturate reflective surface, depending on the color of the light being reflected, but most of the time it ends up being a combination that's not as saturated as the object. So you end up with something a little more gray. All right, I just blended that out. You got some reflection on your waves. We got shape happening. I'm going to stop there. We're just going to do this. Thank you for submitting this picture, Roya. It is beautiful work. I love your choice of colors with the water, and I really like the layout of where you put the waves and the splashes. It's got a nice artistic flow. That's something that you know, I would say if it can be taught, it would be really hard to teach it how to put waves in nice spots. You know, that's a tough thing. So good job getting a layout. This is fun to work on this and tinker with it, because look, it made it cool. You know, I really enjoyed having that as a layout to tinker with. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this picture. So I'll put it here. Just hit those little lines right here and file, and then the down arrow. It goes on to into your downloads folder, and by default. And so then I can send this back to you after the show. I'll make sure I email that to you. All right. if anybody else wants to send something in, we're going to do that at share.muraljoe.com. Is that share at, not, I said that wrong. Share at muraljoe.com. Give me a moment. I'm going to open up my browser to that email because that one was actually to the wrong email. We're going to go to Gmail, and I'm going to open that up to see who else. There's probably pictures waiting in there right now in the share folder. All right. What's happening out there? Any interesting conversation in the chat, John? How's things on your end?
You know, Wendy Newmeyer says she learned recently, moved to a smaller place with no dedicated creative space. Much more difficult when you have to get everything out, set up to work, then put it all away.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, when you can just show up to your usual spot. Oh, that's really nice. Okay. Trying to log in. I put the wrong password because I was talking. Hang on. All right, we're getting logged into the share email. We were all in a fuss trying to get the live stream loaded up. Okay, we got lots of stuff in there. John, you sent something. Kara sent something. We're gonna look at some other pictures.
Everything that you worked on was stuff that I've been working on all week, so it's all relevant. So I was sitting here just taking it all in.
Okay. Look at that, man. Look at the detail on this thing. Kara sent this one in. That is some pretty dramatic work. Sharp details. Look at the muscle anatomy, man. I can tell you watch a lot of Mural Joe videos because my anatomy is starting to rub off on your style. You know, you're starting to look. I can tell you used my body as an example, is what I'm saying. What do you think? Do you see the resemblance? Actually, let's just say the only resemblance is the bony face. That's awesome, man. So great work with translucent color. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You really nailed it. To get that effect of light glowing through. This is excellent use of that gradient. And look, we're talking about hands. Here's a very well done hand. Very well done. Excellent work. And so move more saturated toward yellow. Reflection, less saturated, away from yellow toward purple. So if you put all the colors between yellow and purple, then move away from yellow toward the purple, get some great looking gray. As you make it more gray, you get some, it instantly looks like glare or reflection, just like Kara did so well here. I didn't even look to see if there was any message on this, but I just thought that's a great example. You really got those gradients done very well in that. Nice. I like the sharp contrast between the real dark silhouette of a hand there. Let's back out here and see what else we got from here. We got more than one from Kara. Okay. Kara says, hello, good morning, Joe. Long time no chat. I, however, am still very interested in your artistic abilities and was wondering, would you be able to create one of your very well detailed fantasy paintings, ideas that you can share and deliver with your informative and very talented professional artist? Thank you for the very flattering email, Kara. Thank you. Create an amazing eye-catching demon that can tell anyone viewing it an imaginative and informative story of its own. Please and thank you. Wow, that's a big order. Thank you for that, Kara. Also nice to see both you and Ben working together. Hey, thank you very much. Ben's on the road today. John's filling in for me while Ben's on the road. He would really appreciate that. Okay, I appreciate that. That is a good, very good tall order, Kara. Kara also sends this one right here. Oh, you sent it a second time. Okay. allowing themselves. I'm sorry, I didn't read your message all the way. I've attached one of my older paintings of an eye-catching, humongous demon grasping, like making my viewers create distance within themselves, allowing themselves opportunity to peek into the world of fantasy, maybe just one. I used to love doing monsters. I used to love that. I grew up doing these. Okay, we're looking at that same picture. Excellent. Excellent work. I'm going to keep that in mind, Kara. We could do a monster. We could do a demon. We could do that. Let's see. I love doing that. And strangely enough, I am I this is the weird thing about doing demons and monsters. I find myself loving the concept, the anatomy, the hard edges, the lighting, the symbolism of rage that I relate to. I love Jesus. I don't love demons. And so I'm always at this conflict, like, am I celebrating this a little too much? So I used to draw dragons and monsters and stuff while I was sitting through boring sermons in church. So people would be looking over my shoulder, looking over, seeing what I was drawing, and they would talk to my parents with concern. They'd be real concerned. And I had very good parents. They gave me complete freedom. They never corrected me and said, don't draw that, don't do that. They always let me, and they defended our freedom to express and be creative. And I believe in the end that was a very good thing, because when you get something out that you like, it's authentic, and you don't have to worry about how right it is. It's authentic. But I do always ask the question, am I happy with what I'm putting in front of people's eyes? That's also a question worth asking. So I'm always at conflict. I love the concept, but there's always a question to be asked, So that's cool. Cool that you brought that. I'll do it. I'll draw a demon. We'll do it. We'll do a big old scary monster like that. All right, here's one from Cornea. Cornea says, help please. I'm working on this painting at the moment, but I'm struggling getting separation between the two front mountains on the left. Also decided to add a little snow village, but it looks weird and wrong. Is it because the houses are not more precise? Even the ground around the house looks wrong. I only had bread ties on hand to show you where it is supposed to separate roughly. I'd appreciate any advice. Feel free to use it on your app to show what you mean if you could. Okay, you got it. That's what we're going to do. Let's look at the picture. We got snow. We're going to see what's standing in the way. Usually there's something in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. Let me see the thing that you said. Let me remind myself. I read that message kind of fast. You said something looks wrong. Okay. It looks weird and wrong. I also decided to add a little snow village. Okay, snow village looks weird and wrong. Okay, I got it. Let's check it out. Let's zoom in on this picture. I'm going to brighten my screen a little bit for my sake. Okay. All right. Okay. I got you. Okay, so we're just going to do a little bit of perspective shifting in this. This is all we're going to do. Okay, perspective works wonders for a painting. It's like the building blocks. So I don't think that looks weird and wrong, but I think I know what you're talking about. So we're gonna here, let me look at your other picture before we start in on this. Let's see if you got a different, see which one is best. Oh yeah, you got your ties, right? Yeah, your bread ties. That's good. Excellent way to mark your painting. You got the little twist ties. I call them twist ties. You call them bread ties. John, do you call them twist ties or bread ties? They are always.
One more time. I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
It doesn't matter. I'm just being silly.
Twist tie. Not a bread tie.
Yeah, you call them twist ties. Yeah. All right. But they are, I mean, pretty much used just on, no, you use them on produce bags. Interesting. All right. Thank you for marking that. I think I read you loud and clear. We're going to import this, and we're going to put it in the app and see what we can do.
Joe, I'm so old that they used to put those twist ties in with garbage bags because they didn't build the handles in that you could tie together, or whatever those other things. They now they have the cords like in your sweatpants where you could.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
type it that way.
Yeah, the drawstring. The drawstring. That's what we're talking about.
So we used to have, they used to come with like 20 or 30 of those things tucked away in the plastic bags, and you as a kid would go in and take them out and build things with them, you know?
Oh, okay, that's cool.
We don't have that no more. They don't do that no more.
Where you just get a whole bunch of them and build things?
Yeah, you could make chains and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You could. I made chains out of gum wrappers. You take a stick of gum and fold the wrapper up. Did you ever do that?
Yeah, but I didn't really know how to do it. But in my
family, you're one.
The little girls made bracelets out of it.
Yeah.
Magic snakes and
yeah.
The caps for the guns, when they still sold guns in the stores for the kids to play cowboys and Indians and cops and rob, they'd make cap guns, and they'd have these things that rolled up inside the gun, and you would shoot, and it would pull back and explode the little bit of gunpowder that was inside that little strip. Well, little boys would take those strips and empty all the gunpowder out and try to make bigger explosions.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's cool.
I don't know if they still make those things anymore. I think
the cap guns.
What's that?
Those little cap guns? I've seen them in the store. I've seen those. Yeah, for sure they make those. Those are an awesome toy. And you can take the gunpowder out of them. All right, let's talk about the painting. We got perspective here. So I just chopped off that end because if you think about the shape of the base of an object standing on flat-ish ground, so you've got the slope. Now, perspective near a horizon is a very sensitive topic, very sensitive visual element is a better way to say that. So you change it a little bit and it makes big perceptual difference. So I am thinking of this as a three-dimensional mountain that the middle is larger, wider than the edge, right? If you looked at a mountain from the top, you got something that could very roughly fit inside of a circle or a square or a triangle, whatever it is. But as you get near the ends of a shape, it's likely to be further away. As you get to the end of a shape, it's likely to be further away. So further away means higher up. So I just did that instinctively to alter the perspective a little bit. Okay, so with that in mind, we can look at the perspective of your little town that you want that to look more accurate. Okay, so that's good. You can make. I got an alarm going off. Hang on a second. That's an annoying little sound. So I'm going to look at the perspective of that town. Now, whenever you're doing structures, keep in mind the vanishing point of all edges at all times. And that's not, that might seem daunting at first, but if I put something in here, I'm going to do something big first. Let's go, let's just use black lines and shrink our drawing line down. Okay, if I put a 3D structure in here, then if I go like this, I'm going to put a 3D structure. I'm judging your horizon to be somewhere in here. It's a judgment, it's not exactly defined. I'm judging end of the earth horizon to be somewhere in the air. If this were all on the very level ocean surface, then I want those, if this is a level building, I want those to come together somewhere on the horizon. So exactly where they are on horizon is up to you, because that's just changing the angle of your structure. It's just changing the rotation of your structure. So I could do it that way. I could do another one this way and just put one edge visible a little bit. But what's important, I know that's very crooked, but what's important is that where I have any line sloped from perspective, it's sloping toward horizon at some point, and I'm keeping track of all of the parallel lines. I was just trying to make my lines a little bit nicer there. So again, if I were to put my imaginary horizon through the middle of this, then those are going to come together at horizon. Okay, now here's another thing to consider. As things get very far away, the difference between the far side and the close side, this is all in effect. This all just comes together if you use vanishing points. You don't have to think about it. But when you're roughing something out, this might make sense. So if I make these really tiny, we're going to go in here. I'll use a different color now. And let's just use like let's just use a bright green. How about, let's use that color. And so let's make a real small one. We're going to do the same thing. And notice that if I make a small building and I'm going to make this parallel, it's the same building but further away as the one that it's inside of. So I'm going to do that. Now, if I make these the same angle, I want you to see how off this looks. If I make this parallel, now I'm going to make a line parallel to that one. I'm going to do that right here. I'm going to do a parallel line to this one right here, and then I'll put the line in the middle. Okay, there's my duplicate building, but small. Now, what's off about this is that if I use the same angles, then it totally changes where the vanishing point is. All parallel lines, all parallel edges in a 3D environment have the same vanishing point. So there's error in this perspective because this has a different vanishing point. If we're intending to have this building be at the same angles as the close building, then we have error because they're not going to the same vanishing point. See what I mean? That one's way out there. This one's way in here, even though I made all the lines parallel. So what happens to distant buildings is that all the angles are way less sharp. Everything kind of flattens. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So if we make this far away building, I'm going to make my line size a little smaller to work smaller here. Okay, I'm going to go like this. Same building. No, it's too big. Sorry. There we go. Okay, same building. Now I'm going to make this almost level. This one's going to slope down like this. This one's going to go like this. This one comes just a little bit. This one comes just a little bit up. This is the left side. Here's the middle. Now see, this is close to just not being sloped at all, but that's because being further away, being smaller, the angles can't slope as much because they have to go to the same vanishing point. So this is the signature look of a distant building, is that you don't have a lot of sloping lines. That's the typical effect. So when you're just roughing these in, maybe you don't want to strain your brain to keep track of vanishing points. So what I'll do with this is if these edges are I'm thinking of a right way to explain this. If we take these edges and follow them, let's go like this, and let's take these. Let's just imagine we've got a similar line. We got to make it vanish somewhere on horizon. So let's just say that theoretically vanishes on horizon somewhere. We'll do that. So these buildings could be in here like this. You could be looking up at them. As long as you have them vanishing toward horizon, we're just going to go like this and just imagine this happening. That's just to imagine it. All right. So then that is showing that wall of the building. So then perhaps to make these buildings feel more natural, we are expecting to see the face of the other side, right? So we see a face that's like this on these buildings. Where's the other face? So maybe the picture is a little confusing because we don't have the completion of the perspective. Maybe that's what's going on. You tell me. Let's experiment. Let's go like this. Let's take this color right here, and let's just. No, that didn't work. Hang on. Use it. Did it work that? Oh, it worked that time. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Here, let's undo the green lines. There, I pushed that. Okay, now let's go in here, and we're going to make this one go down to a different vanishing point. Let's make this one go here. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because of the slope that you already put in there. See, now it looks like we're looking up at a three-dimensional structure. All right, again, we've got two windows here. So this has the appearance of something that has a wall like this one, you know, going that direction. And so since it's just my perception of it, you know, you're the artist, make it however you want. I'm going to make the other wall visible just to some extent, just to make the perspective feel completed. Like these things are way uphill. So in the end, I don't feel like anything you did was off, maybe just incomplete. Maybe perhaps you're wanting to see perspective, and the perspective isn't coming together for you because you don't have the completed visual of vanishing points. You know, maybe that's what's going on. So I'm just going to do this on all these little buildings now. Here. There we go. Now they look like they're nested in the high cliffs there, don't they? And so my center of thinking on that, you know, the way I work through a project is always have my mind on this concept. Always be thinking through the perspective at the beginning of a project. More flatly drawn. Yeah, I think you're right, Leanne. Might take the further away something is, less perspective lines, more flatly drawn. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is the effect. That is the effect that you end up. Perhaps when it's a small shape, all the lines become more parallel. You don't have on something far away. I want to add to what you're saying. So when something's far away, the effect of perspective is less because the difference in distances is less. So these lines are all more parallel. There's not as much of this effect where they're sloping, where they're really different in slope. So and something's really far away, but it depends on the size. So we're really just talking angles. I don't think you're wrong. I agree with that. But I think keeping track of vanishing points is a way to not have to think about that as much. Okay, so, all right, we're going to redo this, and then I'm going to download this file like this. So I just raised the bottom of the mountain. I sloped the buildings. I think that's all that you're dealing with. I just think that's the only problem you're really dealing with. Okay, sorry if I missed anything. I'm going to move on. Just let me know if there's something else that I missed there. We're going to download that. I'll send it to you after the show. Let's do that. And so we're going to save it right there in that folder. There's the downloaded image, and I'll send it right back to you. Okay. So we're going to go here. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong window. Here we are. Nope, that's the wrong one too. Hang on. Where are we? What did this do? Am I in okay, hang on a second. Switch accounts. We got to go to share. Share, add another account. Share. What in the world? Sorry, guys. Here. I got signed out of my inbox here. That's annoying. Hang on a minute. Give me a second to get logged in here. I had both of these open. Okay. Why did it do that? All right, we're going to another one. We're going to go here, share. I want to look at your work, and obviously, if I'm not signed into that email, I'm not going to see it. Hang on. You doing all right there, John?
Yeah, I'm good. Leanne keeps. She's moving into a new house on Mother's Day.
Oh, nice. All right, that's exciting. I'm doing a paint night on Mother's Day. I'm going to do a paint along, not on Mother's Day, close to Mother's Day. All right, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. I was pulling up stuff in the inbox. Got logged out. No, just cancel that. It's annoying. Okay, it's annoying when a browser says, "Do you want to do this? You want to do this?" You're like, "Oh, it's trying to help me." Then you click it and it messes things up. You're like, "No, it's a thank you for the non-help." Logged me out of my email. Here's one from Mary doing some underwater life. Love the bright colors. I like your distant atmosphere color. These look further away with more of that water color added, more of the atmosphere color. Brighter as you come forward is a great way to get a three-dimensional underwater scene. That was really nice. Good job, Mary. That's what she's working on. Mary is an active artist. You know, I was having a conversation with someone that did not know the name, not familiar with the name Nemo. Remember, you know, we got the Pixar movie, Finding Nemo. These clownfish remind me of it. Good job with those. Well, I like the details on those little clownfish. Nice. Fine lines. Okay. That's Mary. That's what she's working on. Thanks for sharing that. And the criticism. Oh, no, I'm not going to criticize it. Here, let's see what else you're working on. I didn't read your message. I'm sorry about that, Mary. I have an underwater scene and a kind of swamp one. Offer criticism if you wish. All right, cool. Yeah, but I'm not going to give criticism, but I'll tell some things that can make a difference. That might be fun. Oh, I like your swamp scene. Wow, very abstract. Look at that. Wow, that's cool. Abstract, like I don't know exactly what. Yes, we got flowers hanging. It's okay. It's not that abstract. Fantasy, I think, is a better word. Very fantastical. Oh, I like that big old dragon head. Looks like reminds me of the tokay gecko. Because I used to have one as a pet. I used to have this gecko as a pet. The head reminds me of. All right, that's awesome. Very good job. I like that. It's very good. I like that. I'm thinking, would I add anything? I'm thinking about it. Okay. Well, you got bright light in your background. You got bright light there. You know, I'm analyzing it, seeing what I think. You know, there's little highlights I'd add here and there. This just looks like a a very excuse me, my voice is starting to fail. This looks like something that you could add more detail if you like, make it a more detailed work, or just leave it how it is. It looks like it looks like you're having fun being creative. This one still looks like it's in creative mode because the way your sky is roughed in with all the different strokes. You know, it has a nice you're still creating it. You know, it looks like you're not calling it finished, but maybe it is finished. Maybe that's the look of it. So what I would do with this is I would put edge lighting on objects. That's what I would do. I would put edge lighting. So here's an option. You can put on the edge of things, you can make the center color darker. You can make the edge color a bit grayer, just like I did with this. Edge lighting, it works wonders. And edge lighting doesn't have to be a bright outline. It can just be a change of color, slight change of color on the edge. And it can really make things look 3D. So that's something to consider in these, in this picture, something to consider. You could do it on these cattails. They would immediately look more 3D. You could do it on your dragonflies. They would immediately look more 3D. You have your dark colors toward the middle. You do like a different lighter orange, gray color, whatever it's reflecting. You get kind of orange colors in your sky. So maybe those, but edge colors are something. You could do it on your flower buds that are hanging down here. You know, these flowers that are coming down, you can do edges on there. All of it could just be something more gray or maybe a purple because of these colors. Something to experiment with. All right, beautiful work. Thank you for sharing that. That goes for underwater scenes too. So like when you're doing this one, you do the same thing. Edge lighting is a wonderful thing. It really helps all kinds of stuff look more 3D. And underwater, you end up having a lot of it. There's a whole bunch of edge lighting in underwater scenes. So it'll make your fish, your turtle, all of that can look more 3D. I would also say, don't be afraid to use dark colors. I'm noticing that you're using a lot of the bright colors, but dark shadows are a real helpful thing. Actually, you know what? Let's do something real quick. This will be fun. I'm just realizing as I'm seeing this. We're gonna take this and download it, and then we're gonna go to the app. Where did I put that? Oh, it was right there. That's where that window was. Oh, that was my error. User error. That's where it was. Okay. We're going to go to color. I got colordriver.com. That's the app that we're using. Okay. Then I upload it in there. File. Do this. Put that picture in. And let's see if we can incorporate dark colors on front-facing surfaces, just enough to make edges stand out. That's my goal. I see these two fish, and I think that could be really cool on those fish because they're nice and dark. So watch this. I'm going to take a color like this, make my line size small. I'm going to make my color gray, and we're going to go like this. And we're going to go here, and we're going to go, let's make it a little bit more gray, a little bit more purple. Gray. I'm looking at your water environment. Let's see what happens right there. Ooh, that's very blue. Let's go less blue. Oop, like that. Okay, let's try that one. Ah, there we go. There's a nice reflection color. Right across the top of that fish. Let's make it smaller now. Like this. We'll undo that line. A little bit of trial and error here. Okay, I'm going to do one across the back of this fish. There we go. I'm going to do one across the back of this fish. Okay, there we go. Nice job on these fish. You got some little details I didn't see right away. And you can do it on the belly too. We could do a more gray color across the belly. Watch this. Edge color across the belly. And then we got a 3D fish. You know, it adds 3D lighting to it, just like that. We're going to go here. Put that line. Now, a little bit of blending goes a long way. That can really help too. Okay, turtle. I'm going to darken some colors. We're going to take this color and use it and then adjust it like this. All right. And we're going to go here. Let's color that in a little bit darker. I'm going to get a slightly bigger line. I definitely don't remember the shapes exactly on the shell of a sea turtle. So I'm just going to roughly follow the ones that you have right here. So just accept that this is inaccurate. No problem. It's art. We're just having fun. I'm darkening it. That's the goal right now, just darkening these things. The reason I'm darkening it is because that leaves me room to do an edge on there that shows up. So we're going to darken this. Darken this. Okay, I'll leave it light on that top right there. Leave light colors. Okay, and then let's say that here on this edge, I like this color. That's a good one. Let's use more of that color. Watch, I'm just going to load this up on this edge like that. As it goes around the edge of the shell, I'm just going to make that darker. And then we're going to blend these in. Yeah, like this. Let's just kind of fake the shapes of the shell a little bit here. Okay. There, see how that light edge, it's kind of gray, maybe a little more reflective, and that makes the object more 3D. It's a good trick to use in all of your work to get it to look more 3D. This already has a good edge color, that gray. This already has a real nice edge color. So why don't we just go in and adjust the middle? This is not the right color to put on here, by the way. Like I've said with others. This is just a color to demonstrate the concept. That's all I'm doing. Right, we're gonna go like this. Okay. How's things going out there, John? You doing good?
Nobody's saying much, Joe. They're interested in all of you changing the colors on the turtle.
Okay. Just checking. All right. Whoa, I got a huge size on that blender. Okay, we're gonna.
This is all information that I've been searching for both murals again.
Okay. Okay.
Ready is the one girl that I'm doing her wall, Joe. She's a fan of yours, and this picture you're working on is one of the things that she wants me to recreate for her wall. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe we today. Just keep going.
Maybe we could do a little bit of that when I arrive there on Wednesday.
Yeah, the thing that I want to figure out for her is she wanted an undersea mural, and I want to figure out a way to make half underwater, half over water. So
yeah.
I didn't upload that picture for you. Maybe I'll send that one over now.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm going to continue that concept. I want you to look at it.
All right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm experimenting here with darker edge colors, but the point here is not the exact right color. The point here is the powerful difference that's made just with the presence of edge colors. Of course, they have a little bit of a gradient. I just put these hard lines. It makes quite a difference when you kind of blend that edge so that it's not obvious. I just blended those together. Okay, edge lighting is huge. I do it all the time. So that's the tip that you can experiment with, Mary, at your discretion. Whatever seems fun. This was great. Thanks for sharing that picture. It really is good. Okay, so we got another one. I'm back to the inbox that I lost track of earlier. And Mary has her underwater scene. We just saw that. We just saw that one. So let's go out of here. And gosh, I feel like it's worth showing this. I'm realizing that this has come up a lot, but the above water surface is, you're doing the same way as remember those wave strokes I did on the first painting. Well, if I take this color, so what's important to understand is that we are reflecting now what's beneath the surface when we're under the water. So I'm going to take this color, I'm touching it on the blue right there. See, there's a little target. You can move it around and grab the color you want. You just hold a spot on the screen. Okay. I'm going to use that color because that's a nice capture of your underwater environment. Let's use that. Let's get a line size that seems good for reflection strokes. Okay, that is now I'm not doing that stroke to do the top reflection of a wave, but to do the same shape on the wave, but the reflection is what's under the water. This is valuable to understand because you can go through, do fewer and fewer of these as you approach the angle where you're looking straight through the surface. You have less of it. So we're going to have the least amount right there. And I really like your circular orientation of this. Well done on that. That's good perspective. Okay, I'm going to put small. They're going to get bigger and they're going to get more interconnected as we move further away until it becomes solid color on the surface. And this needs to get, my color's too dark. It's not, you've got your light color in there. So we're just going to start lightening it. That's what we're going to do. These are going to start to close together. There's more of them. Whoops. Let me get rid of that. I touched the edge of the screen and now all the things that don't matter in the world are coming up on my computer. Okay. I'm going to go like this. Go like this. It's a good wide angle perspective when you do that kind of circle look. So I'm just going to stick with what you've already got. All right. Now, just as a quick shortcut, I'm just going to use the blender tool on mine to lighten these background ones, because I want these to look like they get gradually lighter as they go back, so that your surface blends in. So there's somewhat of what, maybe they end up kind of diamond shapes, maybe they're kind of elliptical or circular. It really depends so much on the pattern of the water on the surface. But what I want to emphasize is that what do I want to emphasize? What was I talking about? Is that you're doing the same part of the wave when you do the underwater. You can use those same brush strokes that I did above the water with in the earlier picture. Now we're doing the underside. All right, let's just take our color and lighten it a little bit. We're just going to take that color, lighten it a bit. There we go. Now it just really blends in with the background. Let's go like this. And I'm doing this so that I can make this surface disappear, not abruptly. So it closes in. Look how it closes in, and we don't see what is up above the surface when we're looking far away. We don't see that. Sorry, I'm trying not to destroy her. I'm just going to destroy. I'm sorry about that. Just going to go over this. Sorry. There. I made the surface go back, and it can just disappear into that lighter glow. That's fine, because this is illuminated water. This has reflection of darker colors, whatever. It gets more of the color of your chosen atmosphere. So the cool thing is that if it's applicable, you can take the colors of your underwater and put them in the reflection that's on the surface. So this school of little fishies here, I'm going to take that color here, and I'm going to go like this. Watch. It's going to go in there, because this is the reflection area. This dark color is where the water, this air, let's say the air, because now we're in water looking at the surface of air. Okay? It's going to be reflecting these fishies. So let's put fishies in this reflection. Let's go like this, put it there. Now it's a very organized pattern. It's not random. So you don't just put this anywhere. We're strategically putting it where we've already chosen the reflection. And look, when you zoom out, what it has that chrome mirror-like effect when you see that reflection, because we're following the pattern, and that's what gives it that smooth reflective effect. So let's reflect a few flowers in there. They're not flowers. No flowers underwater. I don't know what you call these. Let's say they're there. I mean, you choose where to put them. It's your piece, but they might be here. Might be, this is like a mirror. That surface, it's like a gigantic air bubble. It's the surface of the air above. And so then over here, you might have some of these colors in here. Let's complete your coral that I destroyed. Let's fill that in. And then let's put a reflection of it in here. Maybe in there, maybe in here, maybe here, wherever it applies. Now, this is going to make it seem like it's very close to the surface, and you might not want that. So don't take this as the right place to put it by any means. I'm just showing you it can be done. See how it immediately makes it look like it's way up there close to the surface. Maybe that's cool. Maybe that's what you want. But I'm just showing that what you're actually painting when you do these colors on the surface, you're painting a big mirror, and you're painting the reflection of what's under the water. So this tortoise, we can put, not tortoise, turtle. This turtle, we can put its colors in here as well. This is reflection of turtle. I don't need to look at the turtle to do the reflection of it. I know, because I'm just following a pattern. That's where they go. Look, reflection of a turtle just right there. That's all you got to do. So, if you execute this meticulously in a detailed picture, then people are going to look at your water and be like, man, you got it down. That looks great. You're going to, it feels good to have that work for you. But I'm telling you, it's a formula, very formulaic. So here's what I'm going to do. My last touch on this, I'm going to lighten this. I'm going to get not so turquoise color because I want to just see light through the water. We're going to go here and we're going to make it lighter. Let's use that color. Hang on. Let's go lighter. Let's just go almost white. Okay, we're gonna put some light in here. Now look at the shapes I'm making. I'm just trying to make kind of diamondy like shapes in general. Let's make a bigger line so it's quicker. Like this, that resemble the shapes you've already got, but I'm gonna make them so close together that this becomes the view to the light that's outside, that's up above the picture. Maybe that's too light of a color. I might have gone a bit extreme on that. But see, you can make the light coming right through your picture. So now this makes your reflection more complex because you now have the reflection of your lighter. So what was the surface coming through is now a darker, greener. All of this in here now is going to look like reflection of more of your environment that has those colors, like that. And then you've got your bright color there. It very suddenly, I noticed this, later on in kind of studying underwater reflection. It stops rather abruptly because of the nature of the angle. So it doesn't, so this, where you can see the air on the other side, where you can look out of the water, that is not a gradient that just goes back, softly dies out. Because of the way the directions that it bends light, it kind of suddenly stops when it reaches a certain point. So that's why I just stopped that short like that. So you can see right out of the water. Am I doing that? Okay. I tinkered with that picture a lot more than I planned, but I just got kind of inspired looking at it. Great job, Mary. Keep it up. Here, I'll just in case you want that, I'll download it. Download that file. Got it. And then we're going to go here and we're going to look at this sea turtle. Oh man, I sent a work in progress pic of my sea turtle a few weeks ago. Remind me later. Sea turtle a few weeks ago. Here's the finished product. I took your advice and it really improved the finished work. Boy, I didn't plan this, folks. I did not plan this, but it is in perfect timing. What do you think of that? Thanks so much. Yeah. Thank you very much for that encouraging report and phenomenal work on your sea turtle. Phenomenal work. Beautiful edge whiting. That's, man, that is a sharp looking picture. Good reflection on the bubbles. Let's zoom in on it. Woo, man, I like the look of that. Look at those reflective bubbles. Yeah, they reflect like mirrors. Air underwater reflects like mirrors. So you did a great job with that sharp contrast. Looks like air bubbles. Great expression. I love the slanty eyes of these turtles. Somehow it's very peaceful. Man, that is a lot to look at. I love your sharp edges. The sharpness of the edges makes it catch your eyes. It's like, quite an experience. Beautiful work, man. What do you think, John? What do you think of that piece?
That's awesome. Holy cow. Wow.
That was a good picture. Nice work. Thanks for sharing this, Brady, and thank you for the encouragement. Very encouraged to hear that I gave some advice that worked at some point. If I can only give a tiny bit.
That's exactly what I'm trying to mimic in the Mural.
Yeah, we're going to work on it. We're going to see if we can we're going to see.
That was actually perfect timing for me too. It's nice. Inspiring.
Nice. Man, Brady just did a great job with that. Now, I don't know who this guy is. Sending in a picture of Gumbozilla. I don't know what we're looking at. Who is this?
I need sea foam on the bottom of that. That's perfect timing.
Nice. Sea foam yeah. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do sea foam, and here's how we're going to do it. and go like this. Download.
I'm just getting the base colors down, filling up my paint, and waiting for you to come on Tuesday.
We're gonna download that. Okay, sorry, I'm moving slow. I'm in slow motion. We're gonna put this in.
The other
John.
picture actually has the sea foam in the trailer of the Gumbozilla food.
Oh, okay, okay. But this is the one you want the foam on. Yeah, this is the
Yes.
one we. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's reload the color app. Let's put the file in. Go to the last download and let's zoom it in and hit that green set button. And then I'm going to go like this. Well, yeah, great job on the seafoam here. So this is a situation when seafoam would, I think the visibility of it would be very minimized because of how bright the underwater is. So you can't, it's hard to have everything in a picture. Like if I go to an image search and I look up, bright Caribbean water, then these tropical ocean results are not going to have a lot of seafoam visible when you're looking out at the beach like this. It's not because it doesn't exist or it can't exist. It's that if it is there, here's where we do have some, but the contrast is lower because there's so much light coming out of the bottom of it. So this is a balancing act, trying to get this to look just right. This is deeper, darker turquoise color, but when you're on that bright illuminated beach, there it can be very hard to look at it. For example, in this situation, even if there was a lot of foam there, we wouldn't see a lot of it just because of the contrast. Okay, so we have to approach your concept with care. We don't want to try to put everything and end up destroying one thing competing with another. We have to do it, but we have to do it subtle. We just have to take a subtle approach to it in order to preserve that real tropical look, because we probably also want the effect of the caustics that are in there. So, for example, if I take this color, use that, now what I'm going to do is shrink this down. Rather than paint all the little squiggles of the bright light, making that effect of caustics, I'm going to undo that. We're going to go here and, okay, we're going to make the negative space in between like this. Let's go a little bit. No, we can do that. That's a good color. I was wondering if that was the right color for that. I'm going to try to get these very close together so that I have the bright lines in between, because this effect is made when the light, let's make it a little bit smaller line, when the light gets scrunched into one place. So it pulls it away from these darker areas that I'm filling in. So I'm painting underwater right now. This is not reflection. This is not foam. This is trying to capture that effect of, you have all this light on this calm beach. We probably want to see some of that because it's beautiful. It's a nice thing and people really like it. So we're going to put a little bit of that in here, and then we're going to see where we can put the foam in there after doing some of this. That's my goal. Let's see how it works. All right, see how as I close this in, this starts to have the resemblance of those caustics that happen. People have these fancy words for stuff. I still think squiggles is a better word, light squiggles. We're going to put that in like this. So I'm drawing the negative space where the light is not, where those squiggles have been pulled away from. And again, it's consciousness of how they're actually formed. It helps me do the seafoam. It helps me do this effect of the light. One thing in this, a bit of advice in this picture, John, is really like, kind of like a magnet, keep everything compressed to very horizontal shapes. It's not that it's bad to slope lines, but a little bit goes a long way. So it's easy to slope too far. So when you get sloped shapes, the difference it makes on perspective is extreme. So treat it like a steering wheel on a fast moving car. A little bit makes a big difference.
Right. I really love what you're doing with that. The thing that I'm doing around the corner is, if you look at it from the street corner, that horizon line looks straight.
Okay.
I wrapped the
yeah.
mural.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
It actually looks like it's continuing on the front. It actually looks like it's.
Well, that sounds awesome. That's cool.
Yeah,
Good job.
For you to see it, because I want to keep that effect.
All right. Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to fill in some of this and make your lines more horizontal. I'm going to go like this. More horizontal, just to make the perspective look more. See, it's not like we can have slopes in there, but it's just like I said, a little bit goes a long way. So make it sloped less in there for your shapes of waves that kind of have a bend to them as they come in. All right, so there's our gradient. That gradient is beautiful. Well, that's really good color on that gradient coming into where you start to see the ground underneath the water glowing. As we get further out on the water, we really want to eliminate sloping shapes. So we're getting higher toward the horizon. This is where I'm really going to make everything very horizontal. Perspective first. I'm just prioritizing the perspective there.
Right.
Here. Now we'll get a more 3D image when we do that. So now I'm ready to think about where I can put the foam. And there's plenty of room to put foam in this picture. I think it'll work well. So let's take the foam color. Let's use that. Maybe that's a little much here. Let's make it there's a little bit more gray. Hang on. Yeah, let's use that one. Use that color. And I'm going to make my line size very small. And you can approach this different ways. You can just do random patches and come back in to paint the negative space like I did, or we can just try to follow our pattern of shapes that taper, but they don't make X's and Y's very much, because remember, these are really the squiggles that are left in between circular, where water got pushed apart. So I'm just trying to make some shapes that don't make T's and X's, where they don't make perpendicular intersections. I'm trying not to intersect. I guess that's what I'm looking for. So see, I've got a little one right in here. Let's make another little one right there. That's a place that works. So then I can kind of visualize a negative space right there. So I'll make a little one in here like this, make one here, maybe a few dots in there, but I'm avoiding doing things like this. I'm avoiding going where we put one across here like that. I'm avoiding that because that doesn't preserve the look of, or if I come in where if I get rid of all of my, if I just put a line right through there, see, that gets rid of the patchy look. So I can come back and put that in. So it's not like we need to put everything in the right place, but I'm just explaining the way I'm thinking through it right here. All right, so let's close it in a little bit more, and here we'll put a bit more because we got the foam of the surf coming through here, so let's make it starting to break up as it comes close. Well, this is like a Minecraft sea foam. Look at that. I'm zoomed way in on the picture. It's pixelated. We're making the Minecraft version. All right, let's make a little bit there. We can make it everywhere. We can make it in a few places. I'm just scribbling it in. I think at this distance, just minding the perspective is probably the most valuable thing. And then I'm just going to look for, to fine tune it, I'm going to look for anywhere that I accidentally made like X or a T shape or things that just look like 90-degree intersections and don't leave rounded shapes in the negative space. All right, we can make them, if the water is still moving forward, if the direction is still moving toward us on the front of that wave, well, then remember the ends of our shapes bend in the direction of the flow. So we can make these frowny shapes like this, but we don't want to stack them on top of each other. So if we just make the presence of a lot of those kind of frowny shapes, we could actually resemble that same current flow that we did earlier. So like this one is opposite. This one is the opposite of what I'm talking about. So we could go like this. Instead, we could bend it down this way, bend this one down this way, just a little. This is in the background, so we don't want to bend anything a lot because it's all very flattened by perspective. Like this. All right, there we go. Okay, so we got some foam in the water, and you know, we don't want to go overboard with this. I've got some pretty giant, sections out there in as the water gets further that I don't love the look of. So I'm going to go over some of these areas and chop away some of this. This is getting far away, and it just looks like too much. That's all. To put it in scientific terms, we just got too much going on out there. So let's do less and less as we go out. So let's do a wave. Let's do a gentle wave going across this beach. You know, I can't resist it. We got to do it. So we're going to see as this tips up, this is going to give us like a window to the deeper water. I'm thinking about it. Hang on, give me a second. This is going to tip up and show us what's under that water. So let's go like this. Let's go. I'm thinking. Let's put a darker one across here. Let's sample this color right there. Let's put a wave going across. It's just a line. That's how you do a wave. Very simple. This is a wave. Now this is the face of the wave, and it is showing us water that is further out in darker area than water that is viewed around it because of the change of angles on the wave. We could put another ripple of a wave here. All we're doing is borrowing the color that's in the gradient already in a higher zone. So we just take darker color that's up higher, we move it down lower in a strip, and we're simulating that look. That didn't look good. We're simulating that look when little ripples, little waves come across. So we just take the higher color, move it down. Okay, these could curve a little bit. You know, I could make them trail. A wave does the opposite. A wave, the ends of it trail behind rather than trailing forward, rather than going forward. So that slight, so do you see that slight, I raised up the edge of this wave just slightly, and that makes that tiny bit of an angle, makes it look further away, makes it look like a curved formation on that wave. All right, so now we can make more waves out there. Watch, let's get a darker color from up high, bring it down lower, and make a wave across here. Let's get a fatter line for this one. Okay. Here we have the start of a wave. Waves show us deeper, darker water. All right, there we go. We got some deeper, darker water. But now, since that one's big, let's doctor it a little bit with the gradient. Let's smooth the bottom edge. I'm going across the bottom edge. There we go. Now let's put a little bit of light. If it's a bigger wave, we're going to go back to lighter color where it gets illuminated. So we're going to take some of, I think these colors in here are good. Let's use that. We're going to put that up in here like this, just in the highest parts of that wave, just in the highest parts. Okay, then we're going to blend that. It's a gradient because it gradually gets brighter as it gets higher. So this is a different thing we're making. This is just showing us illuminated water because it's rising up out of the main body of water. So the top of it gets lighter. A lot of elements to think of. You know, I've stared at waves for so long. There's a lot. I realize as I'm talking, I give all of these parts and all these explanations. You know, I imagine if you're not the one staring at it for so long, then it can maybe seems like a lot. Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, now I've got that piece of the wave. And now for the final piece, if we want to put a little bit of tumbling white water, we're not going to put it on the high points. We're going to put it, let me get some of our white water. There we go, use that color. We're not putting it on the high points. We're putting it where it's curling over. We go to the high middle of the wave, right? So we're not going to go out here. When you're making waves, all the white water is not happening where the wave is still gentle. This is where it hasn't developed a curl. So I'm not going to put that there. Let me undo those. Let me go in here, undo that. I mean, if it looks good, it looks good. Do what you want. But I'm just showing that we can expect the high part of the wave to be where the curl is beginning to happen. So this right here is where I have the middle mass of the wave starting to curl over, which makes it a little bit lower than maybe like wherever I have my high peaks. I just don't put as much of that white on there because they obviously haven't curled over if they're high, right? So we don't need quite as much splash there. So we can just do this and just call it good. Just put a little bit on this. This is starting to curl over. You could make it tumbling over. We could have some fun and make that tumbling over a little bit. Here, let's do it. Let's make it curling here, like this, like that. All right, that's cool. How about I just use the blender tool like this, and we're gonna go like this. All right, we're just putting some water coming down there, like that. There, we got a crash. It's just curling over a little bit. And let's put the brighter color in there. This will be a fun effect. Let's use that color and let's go a little bit lighter, greener. And whoops, I did the wrong tool. I always do that. Okay. Let's do maybe a color like this, just a brighter color. And we're going to go along this edge. Go, don't, right there. Let's put a little bit of light at the top too. There you go. Because that air tunnel in top, under it, the air tunnel is very reflective. So it's gonna reflect that light through the water, leaving a bright color. That's what that turquoise color is I just put in there. You know, so we get that little bit of color in there. All right, let's blend some of that down now. We're trying to make a 3D wave. There we go. We got a tropical wave now, crashing on the translucent water. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So, you know, that's the direction we can take this, John, when I get there.
Yeah, that looks great.
Cool.
That looks great.
Cool. Distant waves are really fun because it's like just a few brush strokes and you get the effect. It's not a big project. You know,
I was getting those bulk colors in the back, and then this is actually perfect. I'll have all this stuff done by the time you get here.
Nice. And
I got the colors. I just got to mix them, make them a little more wet, and then I'll share those with you later. I'm going back and painting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
you've been covered my next 3 days. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Is that it? All right. There you go. There's a little bit of direction to take. All right. I'm glad to hear that. That's cool. Okay. Let's get through the rest. I'm running out of time here. We got 10:26. We started at 8:30, 9:30, 10. Yeah, we're going on 2 hours. And man, I got a headache. Man, I don't know why I got a headache, Steve. Actually, I do know why. That was a lie. Okay, we're gonna go close that picture. And you sent this one. We got that one. You sent this one in. No subject. This is the building. We're going to work on this sign. Me and John are going to work on this. I'll make sure we'll post some pictures and stuff of our project.
That's the Gumbozilla that I was
okay.
trying to mimic.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we're going to do this sign on the building, right? Is that what we're going to do?
Yes.
Okay.
You're going to do the Gumbozilla. I'm going to do the pot with the shrimp.
Okay.
And the pot shrimp is going to be pointing up at that blank sign right there that there's nothing on, but we got carte blanche with that too. That's a future project.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thanks for your time and expertise. If you take a look, hey, you bet, Thomas. Thanks for sending this in. Let's check out your picture. Hey, beautiful. Man, that's cool. That is a cool picture. Oh, look at all the little details and dimples. Excellent work on that. You know, this is what we've been talking about, the glare, the reflection. Man, that is awesome work. Good job. That looks really good. Really good. So you can enhance the effect of that with just what I was talking about. You know, this one, I'm not looking at the photo. I don't know what you're looking at, but like I said, deciding what the color does as it gets lighter, as it gets darker is a powerful thing. And that might be useful in this one. So some of the oranges, like I bet if you intensified the orange in this, for example, in this area, you could do the same effect. Let's see what can be done with this. But this isn't by any means correction. This is like a really beautiful piece. That was a cool picture. So I'm going to tinker with it, and you know, it's up to you to decide if anything I do is worth keeping. So I'm going to download it and show enhancements that I would make just for fun. You know, if it were mine, if I was just or things I would try. Maybe a better way to think of it is stuff I might try if this was my project. Let's put it in there. Put the frog. I love frogs. I loved catching them when I was a kid. Courtney says, I don't think my email came through. Courtney, let me remind you, the email to send it to is share@muraljoe.com. I don't know if you sent it to my other email. I can look there, but maybe you didn't send it to share. And let me put the email address in there. I just saw that comment there. Share at Mural. I'm putting it in at muraljoe.com. There, just in case there's any question. If anyone wants to squeeze in a last minute picture while I'm on the computer, send it there. I'm sorry if it didn't come through. I can check the other email and see if it's there. All right, John, let me know if anybody's trying to holler at me that something didn't come through or something. Let me know. So I'd hate to miss something. Okay. All right. So we've got frog. Let's do frog. I'm going here. And we're going to set that image in there. And I just want to show how you can saturate these colors. That's all. Not because it needs to be done. You know, we'll make it a little darker and a little bolder. There we go. Not a big difference. Hardly a difference there. And maybe the paint doesn't even saturate that much. You know, I don't know. I don't know if it would. So yeah, let's just use that. Let's just use that color. And I'm going to put the size down here. And we're just going to go in here, because if this color desaturates a little bit as it goes to the edges, then we have that cool effect. So the reason I'm doing this, what seems like a very minuscule change, is just because that tiny difference going from saturated to less saturated can make it look more reflective. It just can. Doesn't mean it needs to or it will. That's for sure. But it's already saturated. I wasn't able to get it any more saturated than it was. However, a little bit can go a long way. You might be able to get a more saturated look on your picture. A more saturated and more reflective look. More of a wet, slimy frog surface by showing the real orange color wherever the face is coming right toward you. So this shows the real orange color. And then when it bends away, we lose some of the intensity of that orange as it, just a little bit. We just lose a little bit to make, like you did so well. I mean, you've done it perfectly. It's really good. So I'm just tinkering with other places that same effect can be added. And I think that it can be added. Let's see. Let's put it in. Man, you did a good job on this. You did a real good job on this. Oh, let's darken this one. This looks like a good spot to put it. And so I'm going to take this color and saturate it a little bit, just a little bit, because it looks like maybe it's facing toward me. So let's use it. And then let's go here, saturate it, and put it right in here. There we go. But we're not trying to put primary blue because maybe the frog is not that color. So maybe this is not relevant to what you're doing. But I'm just experimenting with the effect that it can have. So right here is maybe an example of this. You got real saturated blue down low, less saturated blue here. What if we went more saturated here and then more saturated here, then less saturated as you get to the edge? What if we flip-flopped that relationship? So then down here, maybe here we use more of a grayish color in here. So let's put this more gray. Just an experiment right here, because this is an angle facing, turning away from our eyes, probably reflecting some dark colors. Just a very tiny, it's just nuance. It really doesn't do that much. See, the thing is, you've done such a great job that I can't pretend like I can make your picture better. I like that eye. That's a really good eye. Very cool. I would put reflections of the forest in it. That's what I would do. That would be cool. What if you put some dark greens in it? Let's go like this. Dark green. Like this. This is a reflection of the environment right here. And it's going to be more reflective around the edges. So you can literally just paint the environment right in the eyeball of a thing. Let's put more yellow in there because I can see that we've got a lot of translucent glow in here. Let's put some bright yellows coming through the sky. Like that. There we go. And then let's kind of blend it out. We want a gradient where it's less reflective as it goes toward the middle. So let's make that a little bit smaller. Okay, we're going to blend it here. Gradient, nothing that looks like real eye-catching hard edges. This is just a subtle reflection in the eye. Here we go. Squeeze down the shapes like this. And let's put a little bit of blue in there. Let's go like this. Let's take this color, go to a blue sky. Oops, wrong. Blue sky right here. Boy, am I exaggerating that. Look at that. Okay, and then let's do pure white. There we go. And then let's kind of, that's probably going overboard. I think I overdid it. Let's undo it. Let's go more gray. Your gray color was a good combo of blue sky on a black eye. Probably would look more like you did it, but I'm just having fun. Just having fun. Let's make something a little less extreme. Okay. Here's my bright color. Here's my darker. Let's make it more gray. Darker, grayer color. Okay, maybe that's a bit more realistic. And then, of course, that has to get darker as it goes down because we're moving toward the less reflective part of the eye right here. Okay, now let's blend it like this. Okay. Here we go. Blend that, blend that. We got bright sun coming through trees. Here we go. Then we've got your nice black eyes still in the middle. Oh, I overdid it. That's funny. Yeah, I probably went too far on that, to be honest. Probably went too far. But, I had to try. Here, let's go not so green. Not so green. We'll go around the edges. And let me bring back that gray that I destroyed. Let's go to the drawing tool. Let's use that. Here we go. There we go. How about that? Oh, this is starting to look very silvery now with the gray added in there. Okay, well, it's better. I wonder if these have that same shape. Frogs usually have this weird shaped pupil that's like a kind of makes a longish football shape in the middle of the eye. Okay, I'll stop there. You did a great job on your frog. I'm just having fun tinkering. Don't take this as advice, just possibilities, stuff to look for. That was beautiful, man. You did a great job. Oh, wait, let me do one more effect. Let's say you got a drop of water on the leaf. This is the last thing I'm going to do, okay? Last thing. Let's turn that to a drop of water. Light comes down and tends to concentrate at the opposite end of the water bead. So we're going to concentrate a bunch of light there with the bright green. We're going to go like this. Very yellow. Oops. Let's do this. Really move it toward the yellow. Here we go. Put it at the lower end. And then it's going to get darker as it goes up, which we already have. And then darker on the edges. So let's get those edges are reflecting dark colors where the light has been pulled away from it. So we're going to go here and go darker green right in here on these edges like this. Okay, and we're just going to blend this all together when we're ready. Okay, there's the dark colors of the leaf. We're going to blend that dark color with the green. And then we're going to put some of the light down here being projected below the water drop. So let's use that and just put a little bit of that light being projected right here. Okay, now we blend it. Let's get that blender, make the size small. You can do this real quick with a paintbrush too. It's a very systematic thing. Okay, blend this, blend these edges. These are dark because the angles of the bead are reflecting the light away from our direction we're looking, reflecting it away. So this gets real bright as it comes down here. It's like a magnifying glass. This is the little point at the bottom of the magnifying glass. It's kind of like that. It also magnifies whatever image is inside of this drop. Like little bits of the leaf might appear real big in there. Okay, let's do that dark color right there. This gets light as it comes down here. And you could scramble the shape, make it not just a perfect, we could make it not such a perfect, what am I trying to say? Not such a perfect circle. Hang on, let me get a darker green. Let's go to a dark green and a little darker, all the way saturated. Oh, still not dark enough, man. Boy, we really got dark with that. Well, oh, I'm on the blender tool. That's why it's not working. Okay, so I don't know how to use my own program. We're struggling here. Okay. Oh, there, that's very dark. Okay, a little bit lighter. There we go. There. Boy, all that just to make it less round. I'm saying we don't have to do a round bead. Okay, we're blending, gets lighter as it comes down. We got our water bead. Okay, now let's blend this. This is projected light. It's just bright right there because it projects out of that drop let's just pull it down right here, make the size a little bigger. That'll blend faster. Just pull it down right here. Kind of a fun effect to do. Right there. All right. Less of it. I'm just trying to make less of it as it goes down. That might be a little bit extreme. Might be a little bit extreme right there. Let's see. Okay. Let's go a little smaller again. Okay. Maybe we got little veins of the leaf still showing through or something. I don't know. Okay, there's my water drop. Comes down on the leaf. We got that nice glow to it. And, you can really have some fun putting that effect in. You just brighten the middle, brighten the lower middle opposite the light, and just blend those gradients. And then you got your little leaf drop. Little drop of water on anything you want to put it on. You could also put a little bit of a reflection of the sky on there, on that drop, just like you did on your frog. Let's get a light gray color. Final thing, move it way up here. Do a little, well, whoops, I'm always using the wrong tool. I got to adjust that. Let's go very gray right here. There we go. All right, let's try another. Yeah, that's more like it. Like that. Let's use the blender tool again. Just blend it out a little bit. That's the sky, again, that's the reflection of the sky. That's how you do a water bead on anything you want to do it on. You can make it glow. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop there. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for letting me tinker with your work. I think that's what we did mostly on this episode, but that was fun. I really enjoyed it. Sell this for $1 million. That picture. All right, thanks, John. Thanks for keeping an eye on what's going on. Oh, wait, Courtney, I'm sorry. I didn't look to see if you made it to the inbox. Let's see if Courtney's in there. She was waiting patiently. We got one from Susan Brown in here. Latest painting, muddy. Let me see if Courtney is in the other inbox. Hang on a second. Let's see. Courtney. I'm searching for it. Let's find out. Nope. I don't see it. I'm so sorry. I do not see your picture. Maybe you're sending it to share at Murals. Maybe, you know what? Actually, a lot of these get filtered. And that is my bad. That is my mistake. Because I forget that this has a filter on it. Let's look at spam. Well, John's in there. John Kennedy Wilson's in the spam folder. All right. Let's see. What else is there besides spam folder? We also have updates. Let's see if there's updates. Nope, I don't see it in there. I'm sorry. I'm searching the folders. I'm looking to see trash. Not in the trash. Okay, I really apologize, Courtney. I don't see your picture in there. I'll search for it, and hopefully we get it on the next one. But Susan has one in here. Susan Brown, could I improve? Some bits may be a bit muddy, but that is kind of how it was. A wild sky, indeed. Oh, yeah, well, every painting of mine can be improved. There's no end to improvement. No end to it. So the answer is always yes. Yes, it can be improved, but that doesn't go to say it's not a beautiful piece. It doesn't mean that it needs to be done. It definitely doesn't mean that. Hey, let me show you something about reflection that will be helpful on this. I said I was going to be done, but we'll do this last picture. This could be helpful. Because I see that you did this. I see that you did this strip that is kind of like when the sun sets and you get that strip going down the water. Understanding what's going on, why that happens is really helpful. So we're going to put that in the app right here. Let me upload your picture and put this in here. And then we're going to go keep current dimension. Sorry, distracted. Looking at something. Just seeing if I'm missing anything. That's all. Okay, set that in there. And so what happens here is, I'm just going to draw over the top of the picture for a minute. You have lines. These are waves. Okay, let's say these are waves in water. We're looking from the sky. Ignore your painting for a minute. This is not the painting. I should have did this before the painting. Let's just say we're looking from the sky and there's waves going this direction. Okay, now let's say that there's a light shining this direction. There's a sun in the sky right there. I'm doing it a weird direction because we want to understand it. It's irrelevant to the, you always see it in one setting, but the direction can be anything. There's a pattern of ripples. So we get reflection happening off this wave. Then we get it happening off this wave, then off this wave, then off this wave. Because all of these waves have an angle that points to that light source, and therefore it gets pulled down, 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 down. It's because there's many angles existing at many locations on the surface of the water that pull it that direction. Okay, have you ever seen in a camera lens how you have, you get the lens flare? It's a real artistic thing. You get a star that flares out. Well, here's what happens. When they buff the polish on a lens, it's like this. They go this direction. Well, it depends on the lens. But let's say, for example, they go that direction. And then they go this direction. Now, this is strategically done because this dictates the shape of that star. Okay, then they go this direction. Now I'm going to go in the shape of a six-sided object. Then they go this direction. Okay, there you go. Those are the three directions we need for a six-sided, for us, like you can imagine you could probably find many hexagons in there. All right, so then what happens is you shine it at a light. So let's do a light, okay? We go like this. That light reflects here, and then it reflects here, then it reflects here. Anywhere there's a line going that direction, so then we have a star. So let's say there's millions of those little lines. Well, you end up with lots of dots on every line going this way. And then you have little dots going this way, but they don't look like dots, they look like lines because the lens has been buffed to so many lines that you can no longer distinguish the space between them. But if we say this is the same effect on the ocean water, we go this way. All right, now we're going to go this way. See that line? See this line? So there could be a lot of those, millions in fact, and we're going to go like that. Okay, now we got that direction. You'll see this effect if you look through a window screen. Just a screen looking through a light source, you'll see this effect. If it depends, you'll see a plus sign. If they're just squares, you'll see the star tells you what the grid looks like, the kind of star you see. Okay, let's finish this up. We're going to have another line. From the light source, we go out here, here, here. See those lines? So then if we say there's a whole bunch of those lines, we're going to get a whole bunch of dots like that. Okay, same thing here. You can see where I'm going with it. Let's say that there's millions of them. Let's say there's millions of them going this way, like this, but the only ones I drew was these right here. All right, so hopefully that's clear why that happens. Now, the reason you don't see the star pattern, we have this distinct six-pointed star. It's not because that is the shape that nature creates when it makes twinkly stars. It's because those are the ridges that are microscopic in that lens. And that's why when you have this effect in your eyeballs, like I do, when I take off my glasses, it doesn't have a number of points because my eyeball, it's randomized. The imperfections are randomized. They're not geometrically organized like this. So I just see it like a dandelion, All right. You're not going to see one going out this way because there are no angles perpendicular. There's no ridges going like that to reflect those. The light is going that way for sure, but it's not bouncing back to you because there's no angles to reflect it there. Now, the reason that's helpful to us when doing water is because we understand, okay, if I have waves, it's just taking the reflection that's above and pulling it perpendicular to the direction of the waves. It's just pulling it down perpendicular to that. Perpendicular meaning 90 degrees. You're just stretching the reflection up and down, just saying, well, I guess just downward from where it would originate, just pulling it out from the source. So what that means for your picture is that your water could be really loaded with lots of exciting colors. We could take this one. Let's take this color right here. And whoops, redo that. Okay, let's take that and we're just going to put it going across here. Let's make a little bit smaller line. How about go like this? All right, because I see it in the sky. Now that could get pulled down, 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 down. Here, I might have a little there, but it gets pulled. So this water is going to be loaded with all kinds of colors like this because they just get pulled down. So it scrambles the shapes, but it doesn't have to exist in a little strip there. That's just what happens when you have a single light source like a sun or something. So you can take all of these orange colors likewise and put those in there. We got a whole bunch of those happening. Let's go in here. I'm trying really hard to keep these horizontal. We want to keep them horizontal. Okay. Anywhere below your picture, and this doesn't have to be, you don't have to think real hard about putting them in the right place. It's, it's close is good. Nobody's gonna be policing that, whether it really is below the actual reflection. If it looks good, it looks good. It's just an effect that you can use. So you can do reflection like that, where you really have a lot of that color captured across there. Now, mine is very clunky and abrupt, like it's I don't have very good finesse with this. So I'm gonna take my blender and go across with the paintbrush. I think I could take more time and do a nicer job. We want very horizontal, very scrunched shapes for the perspective. The more I get that to be real horizontal like this, the more it's going to look like natural water. Really stretch it out. But that pulling up or down, I think understanding how that happens can be helpful for this kind of a picture. So what's missing from this, what looks kind of weird about this now is that I've got a light source that's kind of darker than, maybe my darkness, my lightness levels are off. Maybe what's brighter and what's darker is a little bit off. So my version of this, the colors I chose maybe look a little bit pasty, a little bit like paint pigment. So, we can just forgive that. We can say I gave it my best shot. Like that. There we go. So you can really load that water up with lots of reflection. Okay, we can also put, I just realized we could put the mountain. Didn't even think about that. Let's put that in there. Let's do this. Let's lighten the, no, we'll just keep that same color. Like this. Put that in there. And this can go way down there, but they can blur together because there's angles on these waves that are going to pull these up and down. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. The same thing that stretches those points of the star outward also will stretch them the other way, and we'll have these colors mixing. Sorry, my hands are very unsteady and I'm having a hard time getting my nice horizontal shapes. I'm just going to scribble here. Like this, just scribbling side to side. Okay, so this gets really distorted and pulled down like this because we have those angles on there. That's why that happens. But that is not to say that the other colors are not there. Those are there also. Let's get them in there. Let's put some back in. Let's use that. Put some back in here. You can decide how much is enough, I'm just trying. Whoop, I did it again. I pulled the news I don't want to see. Okay, let's go like this. Go like this. Okay, there we go. It's just scribbles. That's all it is. It's just scribbles. Now you can see just how much direction uniformity makes. I'm going to use the blender and go across this. What this blender is doing is pulling everything to be a lot closer to the same direction, while it also blends it together. So just pulling that blender tool straight across this is going to probably help this to look more like water, just because it gets rid of the up and down scribbles that I did. You know, kind of looks like ripples in sand also. Okay, you get the point. You get the point. That's how reflection works. It's not the most stellar job I ever did with reflection, but that is how it works, and it will consistently work for you if you use that pattern. You can pull those colors down from the sky and stretch them in that direction like that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sending in your work. Thank you very much. And oh, whoops, we don't need to do that. I meant to go back here and go here. We got, oh, Courtney got it in. Okay, we're doing one more. We got a horse mural. Just finished up this nursery mural. Nice. Let's check it out, Courtney. Very cool. I'm glad you finally got in. They wanted 3 horses in the mural and a blend of Colorado and Arizona landscape. This is what we landed on. Any critique on the clouds? How to push back the mountains some more? Courtney. Okay, let's check it out. Wow, man, beautiful. Look at that. Man, that is so good. Nice job. The clouds really have beautiful color. Beautiful color in those. Let's look at the other pictures. Let's see what else we got. Boy, you did great work on that. That's awesome. Very three-dimensional hill. Good perspective on that. And magical color to the atmosphere. That looks awesome. You know, there's so much color in that atmosphere. I would probably increase the color in the clouds. I'd probably do that. Let me tinker with the clouds. Let me see what I would do. Here. Let's see which one's the best for that. Let's go. Let's take this. Let's take that middle one. Whoops. Sorry. Trying to decide which. Oh, look, you got another picture I missed there. Oh, let's check out that one. Let's download it. Let's download it and see what the clouds, see what we can do with clouds in that one. All right. Let's see here. We got that picture. Let's put it in. All right. Yeah, we'll just put it right there. You did a really great job with those. Really great job with those. So something that's helpful to remember with clouds is that the colors are, well, let's look at the direction of the light. We got kind of general light from, you know, this is artistic. You know, you're not like being a stickler about the lighting. We're not trying to make it exact, but a pattern with clouds is that higher altitude, when you have these sunset colors showing up, higher altitude gets yellower. So I would take the lower altitude and make those less yellow and keep the yellow at the higher altitude. That's what I would do. So I would go like this. I'd blend this. Whoops, don't do that. Let's get that blender. And I'm going to just blend these colors, these darker colors, right into that and make this not so yellow. So right there, let's make this more like a, let's make it more more red gray, I guess, right there. Let's go lighter. Maybe like, let's see what happens if we blend a little. I'll just blend a little bit of that in there. We won't make the whole cloud that color. We'll just blend a little bit of that in. Lower altitude is the most toward red. Higher altitude ends up being the most toward yellow. And I say the most toward because that's a good distinction. You might have this effect just a very little bit. It could be different color schemes. So we don't want to say the top is this color, the bottom is this color. It's just a pattern where it organizes by altitude. So we go like this here, go like this. All right, so now I don't have that yellow color down there. I'm gonna go over here and do the same thing. Let's just let's go here and take this color and just put it in there, and then maybe lighten that color a little bit right in there, and then let's blend it a little bit like this. And all I'm doing is making it less yellow. That's all. Let's blend it together. All right, let's zoom out and see what that looks like. Here we go. Let's take these shadows, blend them down in there so I see the separation between those. All right, I'm going to take this. Now I'm just doing this because I saw that you included higher clouds. It's not that you can't have yellow clouds down. You go, they're not yellow. That I keep calling your picture yellow. It's not yellow. It's not that you can't have that yellower color, that more gold color. It's not that you can't have that down low. It's that you put it up in the high altitude. So I'm going to take it out of the low altitude. That's what I'm doing. All right. Then I'm going to take this color and we're going to use it and put this in here. You know, we'll go like this and we'll blend like this. Let's see what it looks like if I do a bunch of blending here. Right there. All right. And then I think it really makes it stand out when it's at those higher, in those higher areas. Then it's like that upper atmosphere, that real high altitude captures the light that's really up there. The sunset projects across the sky at different layers. It projects in layers. The red layer is the lowest layer. And so you end up with this effect. So you'll get, you'll get a nice dramatic look if you implement this in your picture, where if you pull, there's also values here to think about. Like these can look like a real high multi-shaped cloud if you are careful not to make the lower values as bright as the upper values. So the presence of colors that are just as bright as the very top down low flattens your sky. So if you do a sky and you end up thinking, oh, it looks kind of flat, you probably don't have a general difference between how bright the average of color is up here, how bright the average is down here. If you make that so that all the brightest colors are up high and nothing is quite that bright as you get down low, then you end up with something that can look more three-dimensional because of that. I'm gonna blend this shadow out, put these darker colors down low in your picture. Now, this is really a beautiful mural. It's a privilege for me to be able to hack it apart. Thank you for letting me do that. Okay, I'll stop there. There's something that can be done. You can see the direction I'm going. You can see what I'm doing with it. And that's just a suggestion. I think here, let's compare you tell me. You tell me what you think. This is the before. And my suggestion is that perhaps you can get more three-dimensional looking sky by implementing this. And maybe a more natural looking sky when you have all the brighter at the top. And you choose the light direction, so I I think that in this picture it's not like real sharply defined. I'm going to make this brighter up here. I'm going to blend these together. I'm going to make none of the shadows at the top as dark as the shadows at the bottom. I just realized as I'm talking that that's going to be a difference maker. None of the shadows up high are going to be quite as dark as the shadows down low in this picture, because that also is going to give me that more 3D look of this being like one large complex object, or at least larger objects by lightening the shadows that are up high and keeping them down low. Okay, let's do this. Maybe, you know, I feel like that one could just be a touch lighter. I'm gonna go here and go, let's swatch that color, make it a little bit lighter. There we go. There, maybe there's like a little bit of ambient blue skylight on. I just wanted it to show up. I'm not doing this because it's the right way it is. I just wanted it to show up more, you know, because you might still want your layers and complexity too. I'm not saying get rid of that. You know, I'm just showing how you can organize those colors. Maybe get more out of your energy put in. Okay. Yeah, that's, you know, an idea. Maybe that looks good. Maybe it doesn't. You can decide. I'll download that picture here. Man, that is a good mural, Courtney. Beautiful work on the horse. Oh, that is cool. Nice job on that. Anytime you tinker with this, you just hit file, then go to that down arrow, and then the end result is yours. And we're going to stop right there. Okay, thanks, everybody. John, thanks for keeping an eye for me on that. And I appreciate it. We're going to kill the live stream. It's been really fun hanging out. And if anybody ever wants to donate any very small funds to this, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/MuralJoe. Give me a couple dollars to buy a coffee. But I never expect that. It's a real honor, real pleasure to hang out on Saturday mornings and do this. Okay, no live stream next week, just in case you didn't get the email. No live stream next week. All right, thanks, everybody. It's over. All right.